Hey everyone, it's Theo from Spectrum Gardening. So today we're going to be talking about thinning the seedlings. In episode 4 of how to start seeds successfully inside, you probably saw me double or triple seeding some cells. And the reason for that is as a commercial grower, each plant to me is worth X amount of dollars. So I don't want to worry about having empty cells on my trays because that's loss of money, loss of income, to be honest. I'd much rather spend a little bit extra on seed, potentially use twice as much seed if need be, to ensure I get the number I want. So these are what the plants look like right now. You can see there's quite a bit of doubles in there. And you can see they're kind of crowding each other out. And you can see that some of them are not very happy. So we're going to kind of cover what to do next with all of this. Let's take a look at two random trays I've just kind of pulled off of a grow rack. So let's start in this corner over here. You can see that there's a couple, we double seeded this cell. And you can see there's two coming up here. And how one is obviously quite bigger than the other one. And we're going to kind of go over that in more detail. And you can kind of see that there are some parts of the tray that are already getting kind of crowded out. Kind of like these ones here, even though it's all the same type. They have a little bit of a different growth pattern. And you can see here that there's quite a few small ones down there. And we just kind of want to clean up these trays. And we also want to kind of thin them out. So the plants are not going to be struggling so much. And they won't be fighting for light. They won't be fighting for nutrition. So let's talk a little about tomato math first. Tomato math is very similar to soil math. It's kind of like when you dig a hole and you go to fill it back in with the same amount of soil, there's never enough. Or when you order manure or when you order more soil for your raised garden beds, you always seem to be a little bit short, no matter how much you order. Let's say you order 10 yards one year and 14 yards next year, you'll always be a little bit short, no matter what. So I've actually sat down and I think I've come up with the answer to what tomato math actually is. So here's my theory about it. S stands for seeds and P stands for plants. If you plant 0 seeds, you'll get 0 plants. 1 seed equals 2 plants. 2 seeds equal 3 plants. 3 seeds equal 6 plants. 10 seeds equal 14 plants. 20 seeds equal 0 plants. So that equation I just showed you makes absolutely no sense, right? Exactly. Tomato math doesn't make sense. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you calculate, no matter how careful you are, you're always going to end up with more plants, no matter what. Even if you say, okay, I'm only going to plant 10 seeds, you'll end up with more than 10 plants. I've never seen a grower actually end up with the amount of seeds, with the amount of plants that they've actually started seeds for. Most often not, especially with tomatoes, you're going to end up with more plants. With other varieties, you can end up with less. Like for example, this year I planted more than 144 for artichoke seeds. I planted 144 cells. And out of those cells, I got 54 viable plants. So that's the reason that I overseeded my cells earlier with my tomatoes. Because I had the seed to do it. The cost of seed versus the cost of space, watering, and soil is negligible in the long run. One of the biggest mistakes of thinning your seedlings is going to a double-seeded cell like this, like to the weaker plant, and pulling it out. What's going to happen there is not only that it's going to pull out the root system potentially of not only the weaker seedling, but it's going to pull out the root system and it's going to damage your stronger plant also. So how do you take them out? How do you thin them if you're not pulling them out? That's what I'm going to show you in the next clip. So instead of pulling them out and potentially damaging the root system of the plant you want to keep, take a small pair of scissors like this and go to the weaker plant, like that guy right there, and just snip it. And there's no damage to the stronger plant, the one that you're wanting to keep, and you don't have to worry about soil going anywhere or anything like that. You want to take the smallest pair that you have and just kind of cut it. It doesn't matter where you cut the plant, whether it be down here or all the way up there. You're going to be but you do have to cut it below its leaves. The reason for that is if you cut it below the leaves, you're basically essentially terminating it, and it's not going to be able to grow anymore. However, there's situations that you come across, like these two plants over here. Both of them look relatively healthy. Both of them look roughly the same size. So what do you do in this situation? You could keep them and you could let them grow out of the cell together, and then you could split them later on. Tomatoes are very easy to split and they'll bounce back from pretty much almost anything while they're younger. Or you do a best educated guess and you pick the one you basically like more. So looking at them, this one looks like that and this one looks like this. I like this one right here just because it's got slightly bigger leaves and I just kind of like it more, that's all. So I'm going to just snip that one right there. And I'm going to go through this whole tray and I'm going to thin out all my extras, and then we're going to take a look at it afterwards. So I finished up trimming the first tray, and here are all my trimmings from the first tray. I'm not wanting to leave those around the bottoms of the tomatoes I just trimmed because they can potentially cause problems and disease and pests. So here's the tray that I finished trimming up, and I will do a close-up of a comparison of this tray and one that I haven't trimmed. And you can kind of see that it looks a lot less crowded. And the plants are going to have an easier time searching for light versus having multiple plants growing in each cell. So this is a tray I haven't thinned out yet. You can see how it looks kind of crowded here, here. I've got multiple plants kind of there. This plant over here where my finger is, it's starting to look a little leggy. Yeah, you can kind of see how it looks like when it's not being thinned or trimmed out. And then next is the tray that I've just kind of trimmed out. And you can see the obvious difference between the two trays. You can see this one's way less crowded, which is going to be actually a lot better for the plants. They're not going to be kind of fighting each other so much. And they won't get leggy so easily either. Thanks for watching. We'd love to hear what you do with your seedlings. Do you thin them out like what we do when they're at this stage with a pair of scissors? Or do you kind of leave them together and split them at the time of transplant? Or are you one of those pullers that kind of pull them apart and not really worry about damaging them? Whatever you do, throw them down in the comment section down below, and we'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you like this video and you want to see more of our videos, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel.